Fox News contributor Ken Starr served as the independent counsel investigating Bill Clinton. He joins us now. Ken, thanks for being here. So is Bill Barr undermining his office?
No, no, and no again. Bill Barr is an honorable and honest man. He is an extraordinarily able lawyer, and he has a track record. You know, he didn't come out of politics from the Senate or wherever. He came out of the world of law. And in the world of law, we try to follow the rules, and that's exactly what he's doing. And unfortunately, the criticism, which is obviously political, is, in my judgment, eroding confidence in the rule of law unnecessarily. I think it's very unfortunate, and it's quite wrong. It's unfair, but welcome to Washington.
Welcome to Washington. Well, Ken, the president tweeted yesterday on this topic. He said, "Why should I be defending a fraudulent Russian witch hunt? It's about time the perpetrators of this fraud on me and the American people start defending their dishonest and treasonous acts." How and why did this terrible event begin? Never forget. Is it worth looking backwards and finding out where this came from to begin with?
Of course it is. We do need to know more facts with respect to the background, the origins of this investigation. So many questions have been raised, and obviously there have been a lot of revelations that raise reasonable questions about how did it all begin. So we do need to know that, and we're not talking about it. Now, to go back to Bill Barr, Bill Barr is protecting grand jury information. I know this personally because I was accused of committing a crime during my investigation. Why? You were revealing, disclosing grand jury information. That is the law of the land, and what Congress, these voices, some people in Congress, are basically saying, Bill Barr, you're the Attorney General of the United States, but why don't you commit a crime? People find that difficult to understand and believe, but it's true. We had to, in fact, and we did secure a court order to provide the information that we were obligated to provide to Congress. Bill Barr, under the regulations, we're in a different regime now, is under no such obligation. He's already fulfilled his obligation. He's notified Congress, and he's provided an explanation. No, he's going to go farther. So
sure, as he said he will do. But Congress is taking another tactic here. A headline in Politico caught our eye. It said, Congress's new Mueller fight. Do Dems need to begin impeachment to seize secret files? So the argument is the House would need a judicial proceeding in order to get discovery of the full Mueller report. The only judicial proceeding the House can do is impeachment. Is there a possibility Democrats do that just to get to the unredacted version?
I hope it doesn't come to that, and I don't think there will be a need for that because everyone wants transparency. I mean, that's the irony of this cat fight, if I may say that. The whole idea of Bill Barr's seeking transparency is, I want to give you everything that I possibly can. So let's go through this process, see what the redacted report looks like. But I will just say this. We went through impeachment, and impeachment is hell. So I think that the leadership is rightly saying, no, we don't want to go that way. But I don't think that's going to be necessary, Pete. One person's view.
Ken, when I looked at I went and looked back at the FISA application on Carter Page, which is heavily redacted when it was released. I mean, full pages in black. With this Mueller report, what do you anticipate? How much redaction do you think will come with it?
Well, it all depends. If there's grand jury information, it's going to, and that'll be frustrating, it's going to be redacted. If there's national security information, it's going to be redacted because that is Bill Barr's duty to do that. So we may be frustrated by that, but then the conversation should begin. That is the negotiation. How do we accomplish the objective of providing as much transparency to the American people as is possible?
Ken, exit question. When will we stop talking about Russia? Your prediction?
Probably sometime after November 2020. Some things just don't seem to die, and this is one of them. But I will say this in closing. If there had been collusion with Russia, we would have known about it, Pete, long before now.
No, you're right. Judge, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate it.
My pleasure.
You got it.
Joining us now is the former CEO of Starbucks, an unexpected tongue twister, and potential presidential contender for 2020, Howard Schultz. Howard, thanks so much for your time this afternoon. I want to get you to jump right in and weigh in on former Vice President Joe Biden. He issued this week a kind of sorry, not sorry response to women who have accused him of sexual impropriety. Are you buying it? Did you see the video that he released?
Well, I certainly have no reason to believe that the women who are making these claims are not telling the truth. I know Vice President Biden well. I respect him. I think the voters are going to have to decide, and he's going to have to decide whether or not, given this situation, there's room for him in a Democratic primary.
So, Howard, it sounds like you're in the believe all the women camp.
Certainly. I mean, I have no reason not to believe the women, and I think Vice President Biden will have to decide this for himself, but the voters will make that decision.
Yesterday at the border, President Trump said that it's thanks to the failures of Joe Biden and Barack Obama that he's now president of the United States. In effect, he owes them his position today. How do you look at that situation? He said, the president essentially said that Obama was a failure. He failed the American people. Where do you come out on that?
Well, I certainly don't agree with that, and I think President Trump says a lot of things, most of them not true. For example, I mean, he's blaming the Mexicans right now. The facts are about this immigration crisis, which does exist, is we have a crisis of leadership. We also have a crisis of not telling the truth. The truth is there's more Mexicans who are leaving the country than are coming in. The people who are illegally trying to come in are people from Central America, and he cuts the aid of those countries, which is a mistake. But the real question
So, Howard,
would
you increase aid to those countries, to Mexico, Guatemala, Honduras, El Salvador?
Yes, I would.
President?
I would increase aid, because the reason these people are trying to escape is because of the violence, the issues, their threat on their lives, and we need to support those countries to provide a safe haven for those people. But if we're not going to do that, the real question is, and I think this is so vitally important. The crisis of leadership is the president, the Democrats and the Republicans have not been able to solve this immigration problem. Why? All these Democrats who are running for president, who have held national office, where have they been on this immigration issue? And what I said this week on the town hall, which I'll repeat, is I'm quite convinced that Nancy Pelosi will not do anything until 2020 to provide the president or the Republicans with any kind of victory whatsoever on immigration.
Do you think, Howard, to get down to the heart of this here, do you think President Trump's initiative at the southern border is immoral? Do you think he's an immoral president?
I think the issue is one of illegal immigration, which is real, but there's a real issue of humanity here. And I think the vast majority of Americans, when polled, have said we would like to see a common sense solution to this immigration problem, which includes, by the way, a pathway to citizenship for the dreamers, a pathway to citizenship for the 11 million who were here illegally, unauthorized, and once and for all solve this problem. I mean, this problem has been going on for 25 years, but the president has exasperated the problem with a false narrative. And both parties are using this issue and weaponizing it as an issue rather than trying to solve it for the American people. And that's why I'm considering running for president, because both parties' ideology prevents them from solving this problem, the $22 trillion national debt, the health care crisis, and I can go on.
A question there, Howard. So essentially, if you throw your hat in the ring and you run, you're going to be asking millions of Trump voters to jump ship and vote for you, who would essentially be another candidate who's a multi-billionaire who hopes to bring their business acumen and expertise to bear on the national economy. Why are they going to vote to fix something that's not broken? The economy's doing well at the moment.
Well, the economy is doing well for those people who participate in the stock market. But in your earlier segment, which I watched and I couldn't believe what the man was saying that the people in the ag business and the farm business are satisfied with this president. I was in Colorado last week. I'm in Kansas next week. I can promise you the people in the farming industry are not satisfied seeing the fact that they've lost markets, and these markets are not coming back as a result of a very foolish strategic mistake with China on the tariff and trade issue. I mean, and so the questions that we're being asked about whether or not Republicans will look at me is a very interesting question, because if they have a choice between Trump and Sanders or a left-leaning Democrat, they're probably going to re-elect Donald Trump, because the country does not want to go to the issue of socialism. However, There are lifelong Republicans on the issue of character, morality, who do not want to reelect as president. And on the town hall last week, I asked an audience of 400 people, can you raise your hand if anyone in this audience would like to see their child or their grandchildren emulate the behavior and the values of this president? Not one person raised their hand. The character issue alone in 2020, if I enter the race, is going to be a very big issue.
Character will be a big issue. Who you are, your identity will be a very big issue. This is the last question, Howard. When we spoke last time, about a month ago, I think it was, Democrats were embroiled in a dust-up about whether or not and how to condemn anti-Semitism.
Yes.
You spoke to me about your own experiences as a Jewish American, as a Jewish American business leader. Do you still feel confident that the American electorate is ready for a Jewish president? Do you think that could happen?
I certainly believe the American people are ready for a Jewish president. I've got great confidence in the goodness and kindness of the American people. I've been traveling the country now for 10 weeks. I recognize there's been anti-Semitism in the country, which concerns me. But I'm running as an American. I'm going to wrap myself in the American flag and our values and do everything I can to preserve the promise of the country and the American dream for everyone.
I hate to point it out to you, but you just said I'm running.
Well, well, that's a good point, but I will decide that officially.
Anything you want to tell us before we got to go?
I think you already told us.
You may have told us.
What I will say before I have to go, and this is the bifurcating issue. The Republicans on the far right and the Democrats on the far left have created such a level of ideology steeped in self-interest, and this president is not leading the country and our standing in the world in a way in which the values of our country are being preserved. And come 2020, I believe there will be a great opportunity for someone like me, who is a centrist, common sense solutions, who could bring the country together if I decide to run for president.
Howard Schultz, thank you so much for your time today. We hope that we will speak to you again soon.
Thank you. Thank you, Jillian.